Hey guys, what is up? Thank you so much for being here for my for my American Horror Story live chat. I just keep doing that. What is up with that? Anyway, if you're in the room, go ahead and say hello, and I will say hello back to you. Hi, Janik, and hi, Ethan. Thank you so much for being here. So Janik is already saying you think this was the best episode they've done so far. Absolutely amazing. They connected the time so well. Also, everything with Kathy Bates' character makes sense now. So finally, we're wrapping back around to the beginning of the show with Venable and Mrs. Mead, and we're understanding how those people came to be. And I thought this episode was actually very different than all the other episodes they've done this season, but I agree with Janik. I thought that it was absolutely amazing. This entire season for me has been amazing. I wouldn't say that every single episode was amazing, but probably almost all of them were great. So I'm going to say hi to those who are joining the room. Leo, Luke, David, Natalie, Dan, Show, Jason, Aline, and yes, I think that's everybody. So Luke didn't think it was great. Honestly, I thought it was really, really good. I thought that, I feel like we've talked about this before, but Ryan Murphy, sometimes when he is like deep into a show and he's adding on extra seasons, he kind of gives up on... He doesn't try very hard, okay? And I think that they have tried really, really hard this season. I think you can definitely tell the work that's been put in to create episodes that aren't fillers, to create episodes that have, so much meaning, especially all the work they did with Murder House and Coven and giving us a resolution for Murder House. And I think we'll probably end up resolving Coven by the end of this. Hi to Niece and Alex and Ian and Ralph and Jordan. No, we usually do the live chats at 5, I think, unless I'm losing my mind. I think so, anyway. So Cody, of course, has been absolutely fantastic in this show, and I really hope that we see more of him in American Horror Story in the future. He was gone last week, but I think it was okay because he has been literally almost in every scene of every episode this season, and I think he is just so talented because there are moments when I almost empathize with him, when he was like starving, and he can almost seem like a normal person and like kind of a nice guy, and then he switches it really fast and he's like brutally killing people and snapping at people and blowing out, putting that woman up in flames and everything. Hi, Mr. Z. Hi, Kyle. Thank you for being here. I also, as Natalie is saying, I found this episode so funny, especially when the woman dropped him off at like the place where he ends up meeting Venable and seeing Mead again, and she was just like so happy to be like, "Hail Satan!" It was just very funny the way she said it. One of the other memorable quotes for me was when they had the all sinners say what is it? Now I can't think of it. It's like the choir of sinners. It was worded so good. Now I've forgotten it because usually the all sinners choir, I think, because usually there's an all saints choir. I just thought, another great episode. However, so different from the previous episodes, but so good. And so many shows are just full these days with filler episodes and, stuff that you can tell, like, they tried, but they didn't try too hard. And sometimes American Horror Story, I feel like, can go down that path. But, the past few seasons for me, even though everyone doesn't agree, I have been very happy with the past 3 seasons, really. And, of course, I like seasons back in the past as well. But I can just tell the work that has gone into this season. It's just so good. I think they've set the bar super high because what do we get after this? So Alex says you want Matt. Is it Bomer or Boomer? I forget how we say that. Yeah, we haven't seen him in a while. I agree that Michael, a.k.a. Cody Fern, is very attractive, which is interesting because he's like the most evil person ever. But I think that's kind of part of, if you believe in an Antichrist, they're supposed to be extremely good looking. So there's that. Jordan says you think this is a new time? Is it not? Don't I normally do these at 5? I'm so confused, guys. I'm like, what? I see you, David. Oh, wait, I thought you were saying that I don't see you. David said, I definitely think no one can see me. The most iconic quote of the century. Okay, you came from the memes. David is from the memes. All right. Hi, Christian. Thanks so much for being here. I don't think I'm that funny, guys, but thank you guys who think I am. whatever. It's pretty funny. I mean, it makes me laugh. But again, I don't think I'm that funny. I think this episode was funnier than me. Paperlap says, since Roanoke, the show got good again after the worst seasons ever, Freak Show and Hotel. Now, that's how I feel, but I also have to say, and you guys know that for those of you who watched me a while, that I did not stick around for Freak Show and Hotel. I think those were back-to-back, if I remember correctly. And I got really turned off with American Horror Story because I started to watch Freak Show and I just was not feeling it. And then when I knew a new season was coming out, I was not excited. And I was like, I think I'm going to give up on this show. And that's like total true story. And I don't even know what brought me back again because I can't remember what was after Hotel. Actually, I think what brought me back is because when those shows were airing, I wasn't doing videos or YouTube videos on shows. And I think a lot of people were asking me to do American Horror Story, and I was like, well, I'll try it again. And whatever season that was, I ended up liking it. I just can't remember what that was. But I know that a lot of people loved Hotel, including my parents, which is funny, but that's like one of their favorite seasons. They also watch the show. So my dad is like a huge Lady Gaga fan. So anyway, he keeps asking like if she's going to come back on the show, and I'm like, I don't know. And she had like the tiniest part in Roanoke, so it was like a big letdown for him. Jason said, you love Freak Show and Hotel, didn't care for Roanoke. Most people hated Roanoke, but I actually really liked it. I liked the creative process behind it, and I liked the huge twist that they had. But with Hotel, I can't really say I disliked it because I did not give it a chance. I watched one episode. I really did watch one episode or half of the first episode, and I was just like in a mood where I didn't want to watch American Horror Story because I really thought I wasn't going to like Freak Show. So, I guess it was Roanoke that brought me back. And honestly, the way Roanoke started out, I was like, no, I don't like this. Because I really usually dislike stuff that is super far in the past. And I was like, if we stay... The way Roanoke started out to me was very boring, but they kept promising, like, huge, you know, twists that were awesome. So I kept, you know, thinking this is going to be really good. And I was able to figure out the twist pretty much. So... I'm not saying that's the only reason I liked it, but I thought that it was something that was kind of a genius thing for Ryan, but I can see why it put a lot of people off. And then so many people were scared to watch Cult because of the promos and stuff relating to the actual drama that went down with the presidential election here in the U.S. And actually, I've had so many people comment on my videos. They're like, I didn't want to watch that because it was about Trump. And I was like, no, not really. I mean, really and truly, I think he might have been mentioned in the first episode, but it was like so much than that. So yes, I have been like insanely busy, but I know the Haunting of Hill House, I saw someone mention that, I think Alex. Yes, I am dying to watch it. I don't know when that's going to happen, honestly. You know, I'm actually leaving the country on Monday. I'm going to Belgium and the Netherlands for a week, so also letting you know that because there will be no live chat next week for either show. However, I don't think either show is going to be having their finales then, I think. So that makes me feel a little bit better. The How to Get Away with Murder chat will be tomorrow, so that we can watch the new episode tonight, and that episode will be, my episode. My live chat will be at 5 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern. So Jason says, you thought it was good for what it was, but you're not really into the found footage kind of setup, and that's basically what Roanoke was. Yeah, and I feel that. Like, you know, I get why people didn't like that. I totally get it. I know that wasn't for everyone, and it makes sense. Yeah, so everyone says The Haunting of Hill House is really scary. I know we're off topic and we'll get back on. And honestly, I'm someone who really wants to be scared, and I find that almost every show, every movie, no matter how scary people say it is, they don't scare me. So I really do have hope that this show will scare me because honestly, stuff is really tame for me. Like, basically, you know, there's a lot of gore and stuff in horror movies nowadays, but that isn't scary. I mean, I want to be scared, you know. So Ralph says, Freak Show, the first American Horror Story to do the crossovers. It crossed with Asylum, and Freak Show goes on to crossover with Hotel. And then we also had Hotel stuff going on in this season. So Jordan is asking me what's my favorite TV show this year. Wow, oh my God, like that's a hard question. Probably this one. This has been a fantastic season. I've probably forgotten some other favorites, but I thought this was just a fantastic season. I always love This Is Us. I'm a little bit behind on that currently, but I always think that's also fantastic. Luke says, this season is amazing, but the one thing you don't like is how it's basically kind of a Coven 2.0. You love it, but it's supposed to be a Coven and Murder House crossover. You want more of Murder House. I feel like they did Murder House justice. I really think, even though, yes, it's not getting as much time as Coven, and maybe the reason for that is that the original actors from Murder House, maybe they weren't willing or able to sign on for as many episodes as the people involved in Coven. That's kind of my thought. But I think that they, you know, really wrapped that up really nicely, even though I saw people who were angry that it got kind of a happy ending. I've seen a lot of comments like that. I think that was really cool because we never expected any sort of sequel or extra stuff for Murder House or Coven, and I think it was a really nice surprise, and I have had no issues with that. I really loved it. Nee says, don't hate you, but you kind of hope Zoe and Queenie are dead, which is like the big looming question here. Did they make it? Because we haven't seen them when we were in the future after the apocalypse. What's up with that? We didn't see a lot of that scene. You know, we saw the witches come back and try to revive the other witches who didn't know they were witches, but the thing is, did they leave some of the people behind? Or are those people dead? What's up with that? You know, and I can't remember. Misty, we don't know what's up with her, you know. Alex said you started your horror journey at 7 when your brother showed you The Ring. It takes a lot to scare you, and The Haunting did. I've been watching scary movies since I was about 5. I've told you guys that. My dad had me watch like all of these popular series, you know, like Halloween and Friday the 13th and all of that stuff. And I think some of that stuff might have scared me then. I don't think that would scare me now. But I've definitely been a lifelong horror fan, so yes. So Christian's asking if we're in the present again in the last episode, and I think no, because they're preparing for the apocalypse, and that hasn't happened yet, and he doesn't really even know how it's going to happen, so I think that's a no. Hi, Maria. Thank you so much for being here. Luke liked the Murder House episode. I really did too. Absolutely. Now, Kyle is saying, did I hear that Jessica Lange and Angela Bassett are rumored to be in episode 10? I haven't. I read an article a couple weeks ago that Angela was not in this season at all, but maybe she is telling people that, but she's going to surprise us and be in it, so I don't know. But that was like the last I heard about her because a lot of people were asking where she was. So the new Halloween movie I still haven't seen, which I just feel terrible about, and I don't know when I'm going to see that because I definitely want to. Everyone has told me like it's so amazing, and Ralph was saying it's scary and brutal, and I want to see that so bad, and I just haven't yet. But I will, but when, I don't know. I don't really go to the movies as much as I used to, so that's probably one of the reasons, but it wouldn't be the only reason because I'm having trouble just catching up on stuff like on Netflix and stuff like that I would like to watch. No, I've never watched Grey's Anatomy. I have not. I definitely did want Angela to be in this season, and I don't know what was her reasoning, if she was busy or what, but I feel like Adina Porter kind of took her place, you know, but that was only like in one episode. And I think that's like kind of the new trend, talking about brutal horror movies and shows. If you've seen Slasher, the last season of Slasher was like insanely gory, like new level gory. So I think that's kind of the trend, to be like really brutal and stuff. Yeah, I think the Halloween movies, out of all like I always call them by the villains, but the Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Halloween. Halloween was always my favorite, but nothing to me is as good as Scream, which that came out later than those movies. But I am the biggest Scream fan, even though some of the Scream movies, well, pretty much all of them except for the first one, are not that good. So Courtney is another person who didn't really like this episode. I loved it, and I don't know, I'm surprised that some people didn't really like it. I'm not sure why. I know it was definitely different, right? I mean, it was a different type of episode from anything we've seen, but I loved how we're like back connecting the people we met in the first few episodes. I don't know. So Ralph is super excited for Slasher. I think it's going to premiere on Netflix in the spring, which for some reason when they were talking about it on Twitter, I thought that it was going to come out like for Halloween, and I got really excited. And the more I looked into it, I was like, oh, okay, we're going to have to wait a while. So it's basically they're filming now. But if you follow them on Twitter, they keep updating with little things so that you kind of, they haven't announced like what the theme is, but they did kind of, I think they said that something is like called solstice. Actually, I take that back, but they haven't said like exactly what's supposed to happen in this new season. Yes, it was a really short episode, but it was okay because I feel like with either, maybe it was last week's that went pretty long, you know. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't want more, but I also didn't feel like, oh, I didn't feel like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on, or like, well, they just left it, you know, without a resolution. Do we have 2 more episodes of this show? Is that where we're at with that? Brian says, is it you, or did this episode seem very short? Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. Again, I didn't feel like cheated on it. Again, could it have been longer? Yeah, but I wasn't like, oh, like what I'm trying to say is I didn't feel like they left out a lot of information or like ended abruptly or anything like that. Definitely slasher. A lot of people have asked me about that. It's definitely worth watching. Ralph is going to go back and watch it again. They're both very good, but season 2 is exceptional because it was one of the only shows or horror movies where I had no idea who the killer was going to be. Usually you can figure those out, and I thought that was really hard to figure out, but it was a really great reveal too. It wasn't like somebody stupid or like, you know, someone that they said had died. You know, like a lot of the tricks people play, like where you think someone's dead, but actually, I don't know. I'll quit talking before like I'll give things away, but anyway, Monroe says this episode was such a cliffhanger. Like, you get that she's a robot, but now you want to know why they started the bunkers. So I think we'll get to that. I think we're building up to get us to the point where we started, basically. Obviously, because we're going to have to stop, you know, like the apocalypse. Yeah, so Cody Fern. more comments about Cody Fern being really awesome. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with, like, I mean, what kind of stuff did you wish would happen, niece? Like, I felt like, well, they killed 2 people, 3 people. We had the, you know, we had like the more human side of Michael, but we were learning like how he's learning that he's the Antichrist and like what's his role in the apocalypse. But we also had the brutal scenes. Ralph says, when watching Michael touch Mead's burnt body, you actually thought she was going to open her eyes. Yeah, it did. It definitely did seem like that. The bowl cuts were very funny. It kind of reminded me of, is it Jim Carrey? Jim Carrey and somebody else from some movie where they had those ridiculous haircuts. Alex says, you're in the UK. How long do I wait after the episode before you stream? Well, so today, right now, it's like 5 o'clock in the evening here in where I live in the U.S., and this show aired at 10 o'clock last night where I live. Dumb and Dumber, yes. So, you know, basically I just do these live chats the day after, but I know you guys watch them on Netflix. You probably got that on Netflix today. So Christian says, so the cooperative were Venable and those guys who created Miss Mead. Well, that's the other question. What happens to the Evan Peters character and the Billy Eichner character? Did they die? Because we did not see them in the bunker. We know Venable makes it. What's up with that? So Ralph is just now saying you think Venable will kill Mutt and Jeff, a.k.a. Evan and Billy. Notice they're playing the music that is in the bunker. Oh, okay. And I think someone else, Christian's mentioning the music as well. So I feel like those 2 guys are really annoying, and I feel also that Mead and Venable will think they're so stupid. I mean, Mead will because she's learning them, and Venable already does. So I think they're going to have to go. They are annoying, and honestly, they said they just got into this career because they knew they could make a lot of money and like snort cocaine all day. So, so Luke is saying that Angela Bassett and Kathy Bates Coven characters are confirmed to come back in the finale. So if so, that's interesting. I haven't seen that anywhere yet, but that is interesting. So we're, you know, I think Evan was absent from a couple of the episodes early on after we got out of the bunker, but we are seeing a lot of Evan lately. So for those of you who really like him, like pretty much everybody does, I think that's good. And it's good to have him kind of show off his talents and play different people. I think that's amazing because he is a really talented guy, and I really enjoy having him he's been in every single season. So that's awesome. So Ralph says, notice Venable has her overbite and lisp in the past, but it's not in the present. So that's interesting. I wonder what's up with that. That being said, are we sure she's not a robot version of herself in the future or what? Nee says, do I think the characters played by Evan and Billy are the same as the ones they played in the beginning with some sort of identity spell like for the witches? Okay, so that's another question because we know both of those actors are present in the apocalypse scenes as different people. So are they the same people but don't know? That is a good question. Or are they dead? So Jason is saying that you think Evan is overrated, which I was going to say I don't think anyone dislikes Evan, but here we go. I will say that I feel like he plays the same or similar roles every time, especially like if you saw American Animals, it was basically like playing one of the American Horror Story characters. But I don't think that makes him not a good actor. I just, some people, there's a lot of actors who kind of play the same roles, or some people will say they play like themselves all the time. I feel like Emma Roberts is probably someone who kind of plays herself. I don't know if she's like a really rude person, but I feel like she's always the same character, like in everything she does. Did I see the Nintendo Direct today? I don't know what that means, honestly, because I don't play video games, but you can let me know. No, I did not dress up for Halloween. Like, it was very low-key. I was pretty tired. So, no, my Halloween, like, celebration was watching this show. I thought it was pretty cool that it was actually on Halloween. But Jason says you just rather have Finn, Matt, or Cheyenne over Evan. Okay, I just really love Evan since Murder House, though, so I'd pick him over any of those guys, but I get it. I know there's a lot of diehard, like, Finn, Matt, and Cheyenne fans. So Ralph says Evan Peters usually plays the main guy's best bud in teen movies. Okay, I haven't really seen him in other things. I always see him playing, like, some insane person, Yeah, Christian, I'm not saying that she's, like, not a good actress. I do like Emma, and I do like Evan. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not dissing them, but I'm just saying, like, they do kind of play the same people all the time. Anything else from this episode that you guys want to talk about that we haven't talked about, or predictions for the, again, I've said this before, I feel like this is not a season where there's tons of analyzing and predicting and, like there has been in the past, because a lot of it is just rehashing old seasons, and it's been really, really good, but there hasn't been like a lot of who's going to die predictions and stuff like that as we had in the past. But I'm not hating on it for that. Like, I think that's totally fine. I just think, every season's different, and I think it's really good that this season has been so different from other seasons, and that's great that we're, oh my gosh, this is not season 5, is it? I think I need to switch this. Oh, it says 2 things on here. We're in season 8, episode 10. We're 8 seasons in, and, we are still getting really original content, and I think that's really good. Kyle says the church stuff was weird. It was weird, but it was also funny. I just think it was, like, very tongue-in-cheek. Do I think Miss Bubbles is the aunt from the beginning? Are you talking about Joan Collins' character? Do I think she's like the grandmother as well? I just kind of feel like some of these people are playing different people, that they're not like all the same character throughout with different names. That's kind of how I feel. Yes, Mira, you don't want to get spoiled. Absolutely. But anyway, like, I've just been overly happy with this season. It's been so good. Ralph says Evan Peters was in Kick-Ass adult video store with Emma Roberts, and he's Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. He has one of the best scenes in the movie, and was also on the ABC show Invasion. Interesting. Christian says, do I think at the beginning of the episode Satan was playing with Michael, or was just... Oh, that's a really good question. So I almost was wondering what was up with that. Like, so there were these little kids trying to offer him food, and like the goat that had like a snake in it and all this stuff. I didn't know if some of those kids were like God trying to reach out to him, like trying to persuade him. That's how I took it. Like he was trying to persuade him to go over to that side, because like Satan used to be a part of the good side before he switched over. So I was thinking, like, are they trying to gain him, get him back over, like, to win against the devil or whatever? And it didn't work, because he was starving, so they were offering him food. That's how I took it. So Niece liked the church stuff too. I thought that was really, really funny. Brian has a theory. You wonder if the finale will be a battle of the witches and the Satanists, and Mrs. Mead and Mallory and Michael have like a powerful battle. Yeah, I mean, they could. I don't know exactly what to expect for the final episode. The only thing that I really feel like will happen is that the apocalypse doesn't happen, or it's just a vision of someone's or something. I don't think it ever really happened. I think it will go back to present day Karen in the finale. Yeah, I know that Evan and what's her name? Emma were dating. I guess they're still dating. They had a lot of drama, like tons and tons of drama. But I don't know if they're still together. Possibly. Ralph says you thought they were angels trying to pitch Michael some grape Fanta. Oh, yeah, grape Fanta. That was funny. I don't know what that meant. Like, was that some sort of inside joke or something? I wasn't really sure about that. But I thought they were, you know, like good people trying to get him to go to the good side. That's kind of what I felt like. Oh, Amy didn't like this episode. Man, I really liked it. I don't know. But I get it. Everyone doesn't think the same. And it was extremely different than the rest of our episodes. Very different. So Paper Lab hopes something's happening fast. We only have 2 episodes left. Well, I think we're just coming to the point where we're going to resolve the beginning and find out, does the world end and what happens to Michael, stuff like that. Ralph is saying it's the Grapes of Wrath reference, which is a book from many years ago. I think it was also a movie. Alex says it's turning into a dark supernatural episode. Well, the beginning with all the imagery and the goat and the snake and all of that, it was a little crazy, but I think we got out of that pretty quick. And Show thinks that Michael was hallucinating out of hunger. So lots of different ways to interpret that. I don't like it when the show goes supernatural, and I don't think it has been. I was definitely getting like Westworld vibes though when they were getting ready to create the Mead robot, because the machines kind of reminded me of the machines they have in Westworld. I was like super excited, but they didn't really show the machines creating her. I was gonna see if it was like how it was in Westworld. I was like, oh, that's cool. But hi Jennifer. Well, yeah, we've been talking for about 30 minutes now. The great thing now is you can go back when this is on my channel and you can actually see all the comments people made and stuff like that. Amy didn't like all the Hail Satan stuff. It was over the top. You know, I feel like the way they did the Hail Satan stuff, it was almost like a joke. Like the woman who was like the leader of that church, like I think they were meant to be serious, but I think Ryan was making it humorous and hilarious for the audience because, well, we know he doesn't, you know, he's not saying to worship Satan or whatever. I just think it was just almost silly. Like, it wasn't like, a lot of the people in the church were silly. They weren't like super creepy evil, even though we know that they are, but they look like everyday people. And like the dorky guy that was going to be the one to do the first kill, he was just silly. Kink also hated the episode. Man, funny. I don't know. I just really liked it. Nee says there was a literal angel when Michael was in the woods, but you don't know if it was a hallucination or a real angel. But I just think it was Ryan's way of toying with the Church of Satan without making, I mean, he could have made those people very sinister, very evil, like drinking blood, like doing stuff and being dead serious. But the people were like humorous. Like the woman who like took in Michael and was his friend, the older woman, she was silly. She was crazy. You know, he could have made them look like super scary and dark, and I don't think he did. And I think that was his way of kind of poking fun at anyone who actually goes to a Church of Satan or whatever. Gosh, Kink really hated it. He hated it. Sandra Bernhardt was the woman. Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of her name. Sandra Bernhardt was a special guest. She's a famous person. She was the one playing like the church pastor or whatever she was. Ralph said, note they kept the heavy hinting that Mead in the present will snap with all the don't tell her she's an AI. She could snap. This means she might end up trying to kill everyone, including Michael. So yes, so she doesn't know. She thinks she's still a person, right? But I mean, when she was shot in the apocalypse, bye Amy, when she was shot in the apocalypse, you know, I feel like that would be a clue to her that like, hello, there's no blood here. What's up with that? So, will she freak out and start killing people when she's like, oh, I'm not a real person? Like, I'm actually dead? I don't know. Jennifer thought the episode was lacking something. You were expecting more when the episode ended. It ended suddenly. Okay, so like half of the people here really didn't like it or felt underwhelmed or whatever, and then the other half, I guess, liked it. I don't know. I was really happy with it, honestly. Yeah, okay, the Ryan Reynolds lines were funny too because they were like basically saying he was a Satanist, but it's just being funny. He's like in with the Satanists. There was another famous person they drug into that too. It was so funny. It was very tongue-in-cheek. I thought all of the Satan church, all of the Satan references, the Satan worshipers, very funny. The killing of the two people wasn't really that funny. I mean, that was more serious, but they let Michael do it because he's hardcore. We saw him sacrifice someone the other day. Brad Pitt. So basically, that's like Ryan. And also, that's kind of funny because, hold on, make sure I'm right here, but Brad Falchuk or whatever, he just married Gwyneth Paltrow, who is the ex of Brad Pitt, right? Am I right about that? Because now it's all kind of funny. All very funny. King says Ryan needs to do a spinoff called The Church. Well, I mean, and this is the first time that we've explored Satanists and Satanism and the Antichrist in this show. And no, I don't think anyone has told me she's not a real person. Ralph said this episode was needed and explained a lot. I totally agree because this brought us back around to the beginning of the show and is setting us up for the impending apocalypse and how Michael is preparing for that. And it was just showing his, you know, how I titled this, The Making of an Antichrist, like it's showing his journey of getting stronger and more powerful and figuring out what to do and how to bring it upon this apocalypse. Yeah, she was the ex of Chris Martin too, but she just married, I'm pretty sure she just married Brad, who's like the other main guy behind this show. But like no one knew they were dating and all of a sudden they were married. Brian says, are you the only one that gets tired of seeing the slit of the necks for every murder? Well, I did find it creative that he put their necks together to have like a double kill at the same time. That's just because I'm like a horror fan and find weird things like that interesting. Not because I advocate that in real life. Hi, Jackson. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. You know, hopefully everyone who is a horror fan can separate that and it's not like you love horror because you actually want to go out and do those things. I don't know. I mean, but for me, it's never been like that. It's not, it's not a real thing. And hopefully nobody in here wants to recreate it. Kyle is asking, what happened to Timothy and Emily? Still don't know. Really hoping, not because I like them or anything, but I'm just hoping we do see them, at least in the finale, to, you know, explain why were these people in the show. Otherwise, they were totally useless people, two people who've never been in the show before. It only makes sense to me if they totally disappeared, if they had, you know, they were like people from the past or they've been in other shows and they just kind of wanted to like throw them in to be like, hey, here's two people from the old shows, enjoy. But, you know, they have not come back at all. So are they coming back? I don't know. I don't know. I would think if they don't, that's like a really big mistake. They don't have to come back and like be like Satanist or do something crazy. Or, I mean, I still was kind of interested in like what their deal was. But if we don't find out, at least they should show up in the finale. I would think, anyway. So, Natalie says, do we think Mallory's an archangel? That's definitely been the thought, and I could definitely see that being true. But I think we will find out about her for sure. I don't know about those other two, though. Ralph says, people think this was a meat episode. It was actually showing us the level of how insecure Michael actually is. This episode was showing his weakness. No one to guide him. Yeah, I didn't feel like it was a meat episode at all. Really, it was a Michael episode. And he's so human on one side. On the other side, he's a total demon. He has definitely two distinct sides. He is a person who's been like all alone his life because, well, he kills people and he's crazy. He really loved like Jessica Lange, and she didn't even want to have anything to do with him. He really loved what's his name from Murder House. He looked at him as a father, and that didn't work out. And it's like, then he found Mead, and Mead was like his mom and everything, and then she was murdered. So he's like kind of lost, and that's why he's going to have her back like as a robot. But he's like, yeah, a very lost person and can be like superhuman. And we saw more of those human sides, kind of like in the Murder House episode where we saw him as a human in that episode as well. So Nee says maybe Timothy and Emily are the ones who can defeat Michael. Well, I don't know if we want to give them that much power, but, you know, again, we need something from them. That's definitely like a huge mistake with the show if they never show back up. Or, you know, I really think I would love to know, like, what's their deal? Why did they have super DNA? What's up with that? I mean, I was starting out doing, like, all these theory videos about this season, and then I realized, like, they totally dropped them. I had them in all kinds of theories and everything, and I'm like, okay. They've never been back. So this is, again, not really a show, a season to theorize about, I feel like, beyond the things that kind of everyone's talking about. Like, is there really an apocalypse? Or how does Michael die? Or, you know, is Mallory an archangel? You know? Ralph says the episode was well written due to it made you feel a little bad for Michael. They humanized the Antichrist. Exactly. And I think they also humanized him in the episode with Murder House, with his relationship with Jessica Lange and relationship with Dylan McDermott, who I never can remember his name on the show. Yeah, you were like, oh, he's kind of cool, or I feel sorry for him, or whatever. And then you're like, oh my God, he just set this woman on fire. He just totally slit the throats. That was another funny part that was supposed to be funny. Even though the killings of those two people wasn't funny, when they said that guy was like a Doctors Without Borders and we don't need anybody else like that, and like the woman was like some humanitarian or whatever, so funny. That was so sarcastic and funny. Like, those people were good people doing good things in the community, so that's why they have to die, you know? So again, I think that's a really good take on it. There's movies out there where there are hardcore Satan movies and Satanists and sacrifices and all that stuff, like Exorcist and stuff like that, where it's like not funny and it's totally serious. And it could have gone that way, where everyone was like super creepy and super into the devil and blah, blah, blah. The hell Satan over and over and over was part of the joke. That's how I took it. I liked his take on it, rather than having us be with like terrifying people that look like demons. They were real everyday people that you see everywhere, you know? Ralph says you felt the hurt when he was looking at Mead's burnt body. Yes. Christian says this show doesn't want us to forget that Michael is also human, even having a bad part inside of him. Yeah. He's not the actual devil. This is the next best thing. He was just born to be, you know, to bring about a terrible thing and to do terrible things. No, I didn't watch. I've seen like a movie called Damien, which is about like, I think, Antichrist. I actually used to think that was kind of scary, but it's been so long since I've seen him, so it's probably not. Show says the part where Michael says to the church woman that she's really kind and she answers nobody's perfect was funny. Also, another funny moment was when she was dropping him off and she was like, can you put in a good word for me? Like, I want to go to the part of hell where it's like really hot. Like, she was like, I don't know if that's the good part or the bad part. It was just so funny, you know. The Omen, yes. Maria says, you're pretty sure that Michael told me that she is built after someone he loves just after he killed Venable. Okay, so I don't know if that's going to make her go crazy or what, but we'll have to see. But anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. This was so much fun. Thank you guys so much for talking to me. For those of you who watch How to Get Away with Murder, I'm watching tonight. We'll have a live chat tomorrow at 5 p.m. But remember, for those of you who just watched this show with me, I will not be here with the live chat next week. I'll come back the following week to talk to you about, you know, the finale and the previous episode. So I'm very excited for How to Get Away with Murder. It's a very good season. Some people have told me they quit watching. It did get kind of boring, but if you have a way to catch up, or you have time to catch up even after, you know, this half season ends, I would. Over the holidays, usually I have time to catch up on things. Maybe you do too. So it seems like TV really slows down, like for December. So that's when I try to start watching stuff on Netflix and stuff like that, because I'm looking for things to watch. So I hope you guys are having a good week, and I'll see all of you How to Get Away with Murder people tomorrow. If you weren't able to make it live and you're watching this after it's aired, you can always comment. I go back pretty much once a day to reply to people's comments. If you enjoy these types of chats, let me know by subscribing and thumbs upping this video. And thank you for all who come to this chat. Honestly, it would be no chat if you guys weren't here. It'd be back in the day when I first started these and one person was in the room and we were just talking back and forth, and you know, I was glad for that one person, but it's not like now. So thanks guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and if not, I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks, which sounds far away, but you know, time goes by fast. Bye guys.